Linus Lai, Vice President, Software and Services at IDC. As both public and private clouds proliferate in the IT environment, such operational challenges threaten the vision of a digital distributed enterprise. To make this vision a reality, enterprises now need to focus on the management and the automation of such diverse environments for the benefit of policy and governance. In fact, at IDC, we believe that 90% of Asian 2000 enterprises will deploy AIOps solutions over the next 2 years in order to drive much more greater benefits in governance and policy administration. With me today, I have Ben Hickey from F5. Welcome, Ben.
Hi, Linus.
My question to you is, what's the challenges right now in scaling some of these environments that we talk about?
Yeah, I think that's a good question to start with, Linus, because what we see is many enterprises that start with these new technologies often take an approach such as dipping their toe in the water or have a little bit of a play around to let their engineering teams become more comfortable. And in those early days, people will often develop approaches that are really quite manual in nature. And so the challenge is, as you start to move forward with actual programs to deliver business capabilities, that those manual processes can get stuck. And so it's really important to think early on about approaches you will take to avoid that becoming the case.
It's so true, right, Ben? When we actually start to move beyond managing and automating in silos, we then get the benefits of some of these governance and risk and assurance benefits as well across multiple environments. So how are we going to achieve this, Ben? How are we going to overcome some of these challenges?
That's exactly the point, Linus, that we have to think about how do we get ahead of that curve. It's not really a case of just saying to our engineering and development teams to do better. We need to think about it architecturally and think about it in terms of what are the tools that we can put in their hands that help them to do this. And we see this right now with DevOps teams and DevSecOps teams, is how do you bring the different teams together? We're hearing at the moment security teams being told to shift left, but again, just telling them to shift left doesn't help them. So when you think about that, you think about what are the tools that I can give that span multiple teams? What are the tools I can give them that will span multiple environments and cloud platforms? And in particular, when we think about those tools, they need to really be those modern approach to tools that will fit into a broader ecosystem to enable those automations to actually flow.
That's right. And not only do we have to look at tools, because when we look at capabilities to drive consistency across these environments, we're looking at the people, we're looking at the process, we're looking at the governance, and we're looking at data as well. Which brings me to my next question. Ben, what do you think the difference is today with the term observability compared to what we used to think about when we think about telemetry and monitoring?
Yeah, they really go hand in hand, don't they, when you think about observability and automation. And so the same problem exists today with that, and really with raw telemetry and monitoring data and metrics. There hasn't really been a shortage of data, but there's been a huge problem in how do we actually understand the data and how do we generate insights from it. And that really gets worse when you think about operating in a multi-cloud environment across different cloud platforms and software stacks. The data is actually different from each environment, when at one level you're kind of really thinking they're all cloud platforms serving my applications. And so taking approaches with the tools you pick that can help simplify that and give you consistent data is a fantastic way to start to feed that back into the automation loop. And again, as we mentioned before about tools that span multiple teams, if you think about one story I heard from a managed cloud service provider recently was a great example. And what the CTO said to me after a short review of the APIs and the observability data that was produced from the platform that spanned multiple clouds was, wow, this is great. I can actually have this tool in the hands of my ops teams. And when they see an event, maybe a security event or a particular customer event, that same team can actually write the automation workflow that can then sit on the platform to drive the consistent policy across the environments. And that's quite different to approaches with data and SIEM systems and things today, where we take lots of raw data, it's all inconsistent, and we put it in a data lake and we hope that one day an insight will be generated. So yeah, this really does shorten the loop in terms of how we can automate when the observability data is consistent.
Thank you so much for that. I think we're one step closer to having that nirvana of being able to use in the future AI and machine learning to help with the automation and governance as well. So with that, I'd like to thank you, Ben, for your time here today.
Thanks, Linus. It's been great chatting today about running applications spread across multi-cloud environments and how to leverage automation and observability to really improve management and operations.
I'm sure you got some great insights from our conversation today on running and operating a digital distributed enterprise.